Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're going to talk about something we all deal with, procrastination. We're going to dig into why we do it and, most importantly, how we can finally beat it.
So let's start with a feeling I bet you know really well. You've got this huge deadline looming, and suddenly organizing your bookshelf feels like the most urgent task in the entire world, right? And if that sounds familiar, well, you're in good company. You are so not alone. In fact, studies show that a whopping 20% of adults are chronic procrastinators. And we're not talking about putting something off once in a while. We're talking about a real, life-disrupting habit.
But here's the thing. What if we've been looking at this all wrong? What if it's not about being lazy or bad at managing time? That's what we're going to get into with the procrastination paradox.
Okay, first things first, let's get one thing straight. Procrastination is not laziness. I mean, they might look the same from the outside, but inside it's a totally different story. The real difference is how you feel. Someone who's lazy just doesn't want to do the task, and they're okay with that. But a procrastinator? Oh, you want to get it done, but you're just crushed by this wave of guilt and anxiety about not starting. And psychologists, they have a pretty specific way of defining this. They call it a voluntary delay of something you plan to do, even when you know, deep down, that putting it off is going to make things worse. You know it's a bad idea, but you do it anyway. And man, that's what makes it so painful, right?
So if it's not some kind of character flaw, then what in the world is going on? Why do we sabotage ourselves like this? Well, the answer actually starts with this little war happening right inside your own head.
Yeah, it's basically a showdown between two parts of your brain. In one corner, you've got the prefrontal cortex. Think of it as your brain's CEO, the planner, the one thinking about the future. And in the other corner, you've got the amygdala. That's your brain's panic button. It's ancient threat detector that only cares about one thing, feeling better right now.
So what happens is, when you're faced with a task that makes you feel bad, maybe it's super boring or really hard, or you're just scared you'll mess it up, your amygdala freaks out. It treats that uncomfortable task like it's a saber-toothed tiger. Seriously, it hits the panic button, triggers that whole fight or flight thing, and its only goal is to make that scary thing, the task, disappear.
And this little brain battle, it completely changes how we should think about procrastination. It's not about what we thought it was. And once you get this, the real solutions start to make a whole lot more sense.
Okay, if you remember one thing from this whole explainer, make it this. This is probably the biggest breakthrough from decades of research. Procrastination is an emotion regulation problem, not a time management problem. It's not about your planner, it's about your feelings.
And see, this all feeds into this nasty, vicious cycle. It goes like this. You've got a task, it makes you feel bad. So you avoid it, and for a second you feel better. Sweet relief! But it doesn't last. Pretty soon the guilt and the stress come rushing back, and now the task feels even bigger and scarier than it did before.
But here's the good news. Understanding that cycle is everything. It means you can stop beating yourself up and start using real strategies that actually target the root cause, your emotions. So let's talk about some science-backed ways to actually do that. All right, first up, a super simple but honestly game-changing trick, the 2-minute rule. The idea is, if a task takes less than 2 minutes to do, just do it right then and there. Replying to that text, putting your cup in the dishwasher, whatever. It just clears out all that little mental clutter that weighs you down. Now for the bigger stuff, you've got to try the Pomodoro technique. You just set a timer for 25 minutes and work. Then you take a 5-minute break. That's it. It works because it makes these huge tasks feel way less scary. You can do anything for 25 minutes, right? And that little break acts like a mini reward, which helps calm down that panicky part of your brain. This next one is huge for those massive projects. You have to shrink the task. Make the very first step so tiny it's almost ridiculous. So you're not going to write the whole report. No, you're just going to open the document and type one sentence. You're not going to clean the whole garage. You're just going to pick up one screwdriver. Getting started is the hardest part, so make it impossibly easy to begin.
And honestly, this might be the most powerful weapon in your arsenal: self-compassion. It sounds fluffy, but the research is crystal clear on this. Yelling at yourself for procrastinating, it just makes you feel worse, which, you guessed it, makes you procrastinate more. Instead, try treating yourself like you would a friend, acknowledging, yeah, this is tough, and giving yourself a break is what actually gives you the strength to start.
Okay, so how do we pull all this together into something you can actually use every day? Let's build a simple little action system.
It's all about setting up your day to win. So in the morning, when your planner brain is fresh, pick your most important thing and just do that tiny first step. Then, as the day goes on, just pay attention. When you feel that urge to run away from a task, that's your cue. Use one of these strategies. In the night, look back on your day without any judgment and just get things ready for tomorrow.
So, when you boil it all down, here's the big takeaway. Procrastination isn't you being a bad or lazy person. It's just a very human way of dealing with tough emotions. So the answer isn't to just force yourself or get a new productivity app. The real solution is to get better at being kinder to yourself.
And that leaves us with one final question for you to take with you right now. Forget about that giant mountain of a task you've been avoiding. Just what is the tiniest possible pebble you can move right after this is over?